Let's get to inform you on other stories making headlines at this hour. Now, President William Ruto now says religious organizations will not be regulated in the country. Speaking when he attended a church service at AIC Milimani, the head of state poured cold water on a proposed religious organizations regulations bill that is currently before the Senate, saying the freedom of worship is guaranteed in the Constitution. The president's remarks come in the wake of increased uproar among clerics rejecting the proposed legislation on regulations of churches.
When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground.
President William Ruto attended a church service at AIC Milimani in Nairobi, where he assured the men of cloth that the state will not interfere with the freedom of worship.
I know that there are proposals that have been made in some quarters about regulation of the church, regulation of worship, regulation of religious activities. I want to remind those who are pursuing that kind of exercise that the Constitution of Kenya is very explicit on the freedom of worship.
The president dismissed the religious organization bill sponsored by Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana that seeks to regulate religious organizations. The president observed that the faith community will decide on how they want the freedom of worship to be conducted and self-regulate the activities.
Kenya shall continue to be a God-fearing nation, and we will defend the freedom of worship in our republic. We will make sure that we don't compromise, and there will be no limitations or compromise on the freedom of worship in Kenya.
The bill, which seeks to introduce taxes on income, gifts or profits generated from the church, has been termed punitive and lacking stakeholder consultation by the clergy. The bill also proposes a fine of 5 million shillings or 3 years in jail or both for any religious leader who operates an unregistered organization.
Now, I want to ask those who have ideas to allow religious leaders themselves to develop how they want to regulate themselves and how the church, how religious organizations are going to go forward. Because that was the recommendation of the task force I appointed under Reverend Mutaba Mushimi, that the religious body in Kenya will decide how they want to make sure that the freedom of worship in Kenya is protected.
The president, however, assured faithfuls his government will never put limitations on the freedom of worship. Gishoke Washira, Lunchtime News.